Welcome Capricorn Ascendant, Capricorn Rising. This is your May 2020 All Astrology video. We're going to talk about the full moon that happens at the beginning of the month. We're also going to talk about many of the other planetary frequencies that are going to be occurring, which is retrograde season. Retrogrades in Venus, retrogrades in Saturn, retrogrades with Jupiter. At this time, we already have a retrograde in Pluto in progress. There's another video already out about that. I'll attach that below. Make sure that you watch that video to find out where this is happening in your life. Pluto is very powerful and it creates permanent change. So May's full moon happens on the 7th, okay? And this full moon is considered a very deeply spiritual full moon. In the Esotericists community, in the metaphysics community, there's a lot of power with this full moon. It goes all the way back to the Buddhists' belief. There's a story connected, but it explains the energies of the full moon, the first full moon in May every year, where you have the higher frequencies available for you to tap into, and understanding what kind of energies they are and what it is we're focusing on will help to further create that which you want, okay? There's a whole bunch of other transits happening at the time. It's Mercury squaring Neptune, and we'll have Mars squaring Mercury, and then the nodes transiting into the sign of Gemini, leaving Cancer and leaving Capricorn and going into Gemini and Sagittarian energy. And so it changes our collective consciousness. It changes what we focus on. It changes new area of our life that we're headed into and another area of our life that we're walking away from and letting go. Let's dive deep into the Capricorn All Astrology. So we begin with the May 7th full moon. Okay, it happens at 1720 of Scorpio energy. Okay, so we've got Scorpio on the one end, right? Scorpio is fixed water energy. Water is our emotions, okay? And it's fixed, it's very deep, it's powerful. It's not the watery stuff, surfacey, oh, you can see my feelings, you know, the Cancer energy, you can see how emotional I am. No, this is the very deep stuff. This is the emotions that I hide from people. It's the emotions and the feelings that I'm aware of, but I don't want anyone else to know about, okay? It's very private because they're deep. And we feel very vulnerable with these things. So we hide them. We're aware of them and we hide them. We don't want others to know about them. And this is Pluto energy. It's really deep stuff. It is stuff that goes so deep it touches our soul. And it brings up stuff from other lifetimes. Fear, big deal, right? Fear that we've carried from lifetime to lifetime. Every full moon, okay, every Scorpio full moon, the first full moon in May every year, there is this intense power because the moon itself, when it's full, there's a heightened awareness in emotions, right? We can feel it building, right? Like the waves of the oceans, right? This waxing and this waning, it builds and it culminates. Now, when we think about the moon raising and lifting our emotions in the sign of Scorpio, which is deep buried emotions, and then bringing those to the surface, we can understand the intensities involved, the energies, and the power, plutonian power that's going to be at play. Now, if you are aware of all this, right, if you have this knowledge, you can use it. You can do something with it in your life. Pluto, Scorpio, right? And then you've got at the opposite end, Taurus, okay? Taurus and Venus, okay? And we've been talking a lot about Venus because it's all about our values, our desires, what's important in our life, what we need, a focus of moving forward, and what will we realize is truly what we need to move forward as opposed to what we want, okay? So where is your Scorpio energy in your chart? Okay, because this is where the full moon's going to happen for you. Look in your chart, find 1720. Scorpio energy. Okay, in general, for Capricorn Ascendant, Capricorn Risings, your Scorpio energy is in your 11th house. Your 11th house is your group energy, okay? It's how you work in a group, okay? It's all about the social connecting, but not necessarily one-on-one, right? It's groups. So you could put your friends, you know, you go out, you go bowling, you're meeting with a group of friends, right? You go out and you go to a game, you play baseball, you're meeting with your group of friends. You go online, right? You go to a social platform, and that is meeting with people that you would consider friends, right? Facebook, friends? How many friends do you have? This is the 11th house. Okay, it's a place where we gather socially, whether it's personally or whether it's online, because the 11th house represents the advancements for humanity, the electrical advancements for humanity, the devices, anything that's been created by man, right? Like these things that we've, Thomas Edison, Tesla, like the 11th house is all of this. Benjamin Franklin, this is all that, right? It's connecting with the mind of God and being able to come up with these unbelievable inventions and these creations. And they somehow helped humanity advance, right? The internet. That's your Scorpio energy. So you can connect then deeply with people in groups, which is powerful, quite powerful. Now, if you had some mercurial energy in that house, like if you had your Mercury in Scorpio, it gives you the ability to think deeply, but to speak and communicate about deep things in front of groups, with groups. Now, there's other things that come into play with, people who are these great public motivational speakers or great storytellers that they can do it. There's other aspects of your chart that would have to be looked at. But I know people who have prominent things in Gemini where they're great in front of groups, and not just in front of groups, but they can tell a good story. There's an art to it. This whole thing is to talk about how you can go deep with, where you can connect in deeply in groups. The opposing side is going to be your Taurus energy, okay? So if you've got Scorpio in your 11th house, your Taurus is going to be in your 5th house. So your 5th house is what I value, what I hold on to. It's fixed, right? Your 11th house was fixed water, right? Your emotions are up there in that 11th house, very emotional about friends. Ferociously, you have friends that you bond with deeply, because that's Scorpio energy, deep bonding, how you share energy in groups, okay? The opposite side, the 5th, is how you have a good time, right? How you can connect with others, likely one-on-one, because it's Taurus, which is the ruler. Venus is its ruler, and Venus is all about significant one-on-one relationships. So having that kind of energy there in that house represents people that like dating, relating, mating, right? But it's also the house of our children, our joy. It's the house of creating, right? A crazy creative location, but it's what you value. Now, these two energies are a big part of this full moon on the 7th, okay? We touch in with the Buddha at this time. These two energies, right? This means you've got the moon at 1720 in Scorpio and the sun at 1720 in Taurus. Now, the story behind all of this kind of energy and the potency and the energies that are available, the frequencies, is Buddha was this great spiritual teacher who at one time in his life, first of all, he came into the world with a really wealthy family. And so he had everything materially that he could ever want, didn't have any desires. And for him, he had this illuminating idea that it was man's desires for things, man's attachment to things that brought him pain, that brought him unhappiness in the world. And so his teachings became about learning to detach. Now, I agree with you, that's an easy thing for someone to say who came into the world with a want for nothing, right? They had everything. But he took it to the degree where he walked away from his wealth. He walked away from his loved ones, even his family. And I mean, like his wife and children. It was a little extreme. And, there might be different stories. He was willing to detach from all that he held on to, all that he held dear, and walk away from it. And to walk among common men, to live life with no money, to live life with no belongings, basically like a vagabond, and to learn to embrace freedom. That was his teaching, that you literally can detach from that which you desire and you receive liberation. You experience a sense of you kind of release chains. It's the whole idea that we have such attachment to things and people and experiences that they become chains and they bind us. And so the whole teaching is to release yourself and detach from that. So at this time, the story goes, because Buddha is known to be this ascended master, and he rains down, he emanates, he radiates his beams and his energy to those that are willing to be receptive and to take on this challenge, to understand that they may have things in their life that have become chains, that have been holding them down, that they have been enslaved to. And the lesson, or the challenge, I guess, the whole desire is to not desire, right? To renounce attachment and to learn to detach. And the energies are available on this day. There are people in the world who literally gather in the Himalayas every year at this time. I'm not making this up. You can Google it. It's called the Wesak full moon. It's like Wesak. And yearly they gather, and they're like these great spiritual leaders and, I don't know, monks or whatever. I don't know. I have never done this, but they gather to receive these energies from the Buddha. You know, in their stories, Buddha comes down and he's present with the Christed one. And they are literally beaming streams of their energy, right? So it's the idea that we can be in a meditative space and we can raise our own vibrations, and at the same time they are decreasing their vibrations so that we can somehow come to a spot where we can meet and we can receive as the humans, so that we can receive their high emanations and their high frequencies. And it gives us this ability, we take on traits of those higher frequencies and we assimilate them into our life, and we somehow receive enlightenment. Okay, so this full moon has that capability, has that potentiality to be instrumental in some of our growth. So if you have this sort of if you have like a consciousness raising experience, or if you've had something similar to this, I'd love to hear about it. Comment below and let us all hear about it. We would love to be involved in that. But I will be holding a ceremony, and I'll have a special announcement about that at the end of this video once I go over all these retrogrades and all these current energies. So let's move along and go into that. This is the 7th of the full moon. Okay, now on the 7th full moon, there are energies like days before, starting on the 4th, where you're going to represent our thinking and our communicating. And Neptune is very idealistic. So at this time, some are saying that there might be communications that go on, and there might be somebody talking about, oh, I've got this thing, this plan, this deal, or this offer, especially on the internet, because Mercury, we're going to be having Venus and Gemini at that time. And we'll have Mercury in Taurus, which is money, and then we're going to have Venus in Gemini communicating. Venus is money and my resources. She's the ruler of Taurus. So if there's anything you're doing, any online stuff, you want to be careful in terms of somebody might be doing some shyster stuff, just because there's this, it's like a prime time for people who want to make a quick buck on the internet to be able to do that, okay? Now when we move on, May 11th, we've got Saturn going retrograde. Now look where your Saturn energy is in your chart, your 157 Aquarian energy, and that's where you're going to notice Saturn bearing down. Before the planets go backwards, okay, they get stronger. Well, what does Saturn represent? Rules and restrictions, right? Saturn is restrictive and it decreases things. In Aquarius, Aquarius is the public, okay? Now we understand what Saturn in Aquarius means, because that's what lockdowns are. It's okay, there's a restriction on groups, a restriction on people. Lots of new rules, and that's what we've been facing, lots of new rules. Well, Saturn standing still means likely we'll be able to feel more restrictions, okay? Now this is going to be happening days before the May 11th of backward movement, because when a planet goes backwards, it starts to get slower, and before the actual retro, it stands still, okay? So you can expect this in the beginning of May, because Saturn will be going slower. Well, I'm recording this on May 1st, and so within the next couple of days, we're going to be seeing and hearing more restrictions. And find out where this is in your life. Like if I look in for Aquarian energy, this is your second house. Sorry to say that, because your second house is your income and your resources and your money. So there might be restrictions. If you were working on the internet, you might find restrictions there. You know, you might find that it's not going to be a permanent thing. I'll say that much, because Saturn is moving backwards. Okay, and once we get to, doesn't move real fast, but Saturn come the end of June, will actually, at the very end of June, will be entering Capricorn energy. And then that will change. That will actually, well, that's your sign. It goes into your first house then. Again, pay attention to the degrees, because this might be in other houses, okay? Saturn goes back to 25 degrees Capricorn. So see if you have something there. See if you have previous natal planets that are at those points at those degrees to understand if Saturn's going to be putting restrictions on those planets at those locations in your life, in your first house. And if it's in your second house, you're going to want to know, right? You might have a second house that's got half Capricorn in it and half Aquarian energy. You could. So if you don't know, comment below and I can find that out for you for sure. Now let's move to the next retrograde, which is happening on May 13th, and this is going to be Venus. Venus retrogrades in Gemini energy. Look for the degrees, 5 degrees and 22 degrees Gemini. Okay, she's at 22 and then she goes backwards. Now Venus is going to be spending a buttload of time in Gemini energy. She stays there all the way until August. Gemini is our local community. It is our siblings, it is our co-workers, it is our peers. Gemini energy is our community. Like on a large scale, it's the town you work in. It is our short journeys, right? If we're traveling, we're only traveling in our town. It's our immediate environment. Gemini is also the social, right? Social media, because it's about newsprint, right? Back in the day, all we had was a newspaper to read, right? Periodicals. Nowadays, it's okay. We get our news online. So it's grown, it becomes social media, it becomes news on the internet and communicating via the internet, right? Emails, right? Total Gemini stuff. Venus going retrograde through that, it's a reevaluation of all that. It's okay. Because I know people, I don't know if you guys do, but I even have siblings, maybe 1 or 2, who refuse to be online, who don't even own an email address, who refuse to get with the times, who just say, you know what, that's not for me, I don't need that in my life. But if you think about this, right, retrograding Venus through there, those individuals who may not have been embracing technology may be reevaluating it and thinking, holy crap, if I can't relate with somebody other than going on Facebook, I might want to look into that, right? I could see that happening during this. Because all of a sudden, remember, Gemini energy is siblings. And for people who were maybe used to seeing siblings, they're doing a lot more of that this way because they have no other solution. They have no other alternative. Now, understanding your Gemini energy, this is your 6th house. Your 6th house is where right? It's your work. It's your daily routines. It's also going to be your health. You know, it's hygiene. It's your health habits, your hygiene habits. 6th house, I keep forgetting to mention this, but it's our domestic pets. And the nodes are going to be going through this location in your chart, your 6th house and your 12th house. Your north node is where you're headed. This is your future. So this can be very nice, okay? Because if the north node's going through there, if you've been unhappy with the work you've been doing, with the work that you've had, you could see new work coming. Gemini is business and trade too, okay? So I like this placement for Capricorn, Ascendant Capricorn rising. The north node going through there, it will be going through there for the next 18 months. And with the Venus going through there, Venus is money. So this looks very promising. Now, this can be very different in your chart. You'd have to see if natally if you have anything squaring any of this stuff, okay? Now, the nodes are going to be at 29, 46, and they go backwards. Remember, they go backwards. So if you have planets in air signs, you know, and that would be your Aquarian energy or your Libran energy, you can expect to see trines, okay? If you have anything squaring up with them, that would your mutable stuff, right? So that means if you have anything in Pisces or if you have anything in Virgo, all right, those are going to square up. And so you're going to want to pay attention to the degrees and follow the nodes and find out. Also follow Venus and find out. Venus is all about saying, this is what I value now, okay? And so it's a reevaluation of your work, a reevaluation of your health, a reevaluation of hygiene and all those routines and projects, health projects, work projects, right? Projects in the home, right? It's all about the how-tos. This is the 6th house, all right? Now, when we go to the next date, May 14th, we have a retrograde in Jupiter. Jupiter says it's time to go backwards and to reevaluate, okay? Because that's what retrogrades are. It's an internalizing, it's a reevaluating, it's I need to go over this and look at it again. There's something I missed, or there's something I can do to change and tweak something, make it better. This is happening at 27 degrees Capricorn. So this is you, right? This is your 1st house. But look for the degree of 27. This could be in your 2nd house. But the retrograde degrees are between 27 Capricorn and 17 degrees Capricorn, all right? Find out where that is for yourself. And Capricorn is our structures. So this could have something to do with your physical body. let's remember Capricorn. I have a big reminder of it right now because I've got Mars doing this number. Anyway, Capricorn is our structures of our bodies too. Okay, it's in your first house. It's about your spine. It's about your teeth, right? Anything that sets up a structure in your body, right? Like I'm feeling horrible tooth pain, right? And so, yeah, I'm getting a great reminder of Capricorn and teeth, okay? So if you've got the retrograde happening there, if it squares anything, then you're going to be like, oh, great, that's that, right? Your spine, right? I've got that too right now, wonderful. All these fun reminders of stuff that needs to be taken care of, and you need to be very careful in understanding your physical restrictions and limitations and working within them. Learning how to work with these timings and seeing, okay, if this is squaring, I know this is not going to be a good time to plan this right now, right? Or if this is trining something, this is a really good time to go ahead with this at this time. Use the science, use the knowledge of astrology to plan, to navigate. All right, so at the butt end of this, we're going to dip back into the north nodes. Because the nodes are going through Gemini and going through Sagittarius, the Sagittarian stuff is the south node, right? I already talked a little bit about the north node, where you're headed. South node's what you're releasing, what you're letting go, what you have already mastered, and what you don't need anymore in your life. So it's not like something's coming along and tearing it and ripping away from you. No, it's you saying, you know what, I'm done with that. I no longer need it, right? It's like, I don't know, what is something that we use and we no longer need it anymore, and when we're done with it, we can literally hand it off to somebody else because we already did what we needed it for? Sometimes there's certain tools when we realize, okay, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. And so we give them to somebody else. We gift them to somebody else. And so this is kind of what that's like. You literally say, I no longer need this, and you let it go. All right? So the universe helps us in doing what we're leaving behind, what we've outgrown. I don't do that anymore. I'm done. This is your 12th house. This is interesting because the 12th house is usually our subconscious. It's stuff you're not aware of. It's our subconscious thoughts, okay? So pay attention to dreams when it comes to the 12th house, because our dreams speak to us. These are like your soul stirrings. This is the way your soul gives you information through your dreams, all right? That means it's Jupiter there. Jupiter is wisdom. Jupiter is future, okay? So locking in on that and maybe tracking it by jotting things down with dates and events that happen in the dreams might help you. This could also mean information during the day, with visuals that kind of just pop in that seem like a daydream. You know, when someone says, I had a vision, this can be that, all right? So you just would want to pay attention to how that works for you. But remember, that Sagittarian energy is traveling long distances and journeys. It's opinions, it's beliefs. So there may be subconscious beliefs, subconscious opinions that you have that you're not aware of. And so if this comes to light, this is you saying, I am no longer holding on to this because it's not doing me any good. I'm releasing it. And that brings me back around again to this full moon, okay? This full moon, because it is in Scorpio, it is a Pluto-ruled full moon, right? And nothing is more powerful than Pluto, all right? Pluto is our soul's power, okay? So it is a cellular power activation. And I am going to be doing this ceremony, a full moon ceremony. And if you want to be involved, just comment your name and something you want to release. All right, so it's going to be your name, like I put G, and I would put, okay, I want to release my addictions, right? My addiction, right? Whatever that is. Or I want to release fear, or I want to release desire. You know, be specific for yourself, okay? And if it's a couple of words, that's fine. But I create these little itty bitty prayer ties. And the prayer tie includes your name with the word and tobacco that we offer to the earth, that we offer to Creator. It is a sacrifice, and it is something that we want to let go of. Okay, and so the full moon assists us in that. Remember, Buddha's energy is coming down and assisting in the release. And so as a unit, as a group, as us coming together and being together, even though we can't physically be together, we're going to use our power and our intentions of the Taurus energy and the focus to release that which we no longer desire in Scorpio. So I hope this has put some light upon your path. Thank you.